Hey, Dustin Tibbetts here, financial advisor with Jazz Wealth Managers. How's it going today? Good? Hope you're having a good day out there. Do you want to vote for Trump or do you want to vote for Biden? Don't answer that. I know you guys are probably so done with election season. Look, as financial advisors and planners for our customers, we have no choice. We have to get into it because one candidate has different plans than others. It's how it always goes. It doesn't matter who you want to vote for. I always joke, vote how you need to. We can still be friends. I don't care. But the bottom line is I have to be prepared. If Trump continues to be in office, which will, depending on when you're watching this, maybe he did or didn't, but there's obviously tax plans in place. If Biden wins, he's got his own ideas. And whether you agree or disagree, we just have to plan and be prepared. So I've been working with that with customers, with that idea with customers lately. And I just want to share some of them with you. This is not meant to be political. These are just exactly what the two candidates have there. This is all vetted. This is not something you have to say, oh, fact check, he said this or that. These are just their ideas and what they want to do. Whether they become law or not, it's one thing anyways. So what we're going to do is go through what Trump has and wants to do or has mentioned or did not mention, and things that Biden wants to do should he become the president, and changes he wants to make. And we'll just kind of go over them, and that way you kind of know as well, and give you a little free help today. So here we go. Okay, the first thing is for Joe Biden. So if Joe Biden wins the presidency, he's going to need Congress to pass some of his tax laws, and he's going to need to be more specific too, because there's some things that are left out there. But anyways, one of the things that he said is that he wants it to be retroactive. And all that means is if we get to the next summer, let's say, and they pass some sort of tax reform and they change everything up or get rid of Trump's tax laws or some of them, then it just means that it would count for next year. So if we're already in the summer, retroactive means it would start in January of 2021. Let's hope that's not the case, because that makes it pretty difficult to plan around that. Best case, it gets started in 2022. So that's what it is. But let me go over a few things here for you today. The first thing would be the top tax rate. So the top tax rate is currently 37%. If you're in there, you know, right? It's a lot. If you're single and you make over 518,400-ish, then you are in the 37% tax bracket. You're up there. If you're married filing jointly, it's 622,000 or something. All right. So what Joe Biden wants to do is take it from 37% to 39.6%. Should he become the president? It was already that before, so don't, it's what it is. Under Obama, it was 39.6, right? The difference is he wants it to start at 400,000. So let's go over here, and this is going to come up a few times here, so I'm just going to dive over here and talk about this. So we're at 37. He wants to take it to 39.6. Now, as I just mentioned ago, it's either 518 or 622 where you're at, if you're in the 37% tax bracket. What he wants to do is say, now this comes into place at 400,000 or more, right? So now your top tax bracket would be 39.6 if you make 400,000 or more. There's one little problem. I don't know, I'm sure it'll be solved, but I don't know what that means. So as planners, we're kind of all like, okay, but who's the 400,000? Is that single? If that's single, you were at 518, now you're at 400 before you go to 39.6. All right, that's what it is. If you're married filing jointly and you were at 622, and now you're going to be at 39.6 by the time you get to 400, okay, that's not cool, right? But we don't know. So that's the point, being that the 400,000, I even personally emailed their campaign just to see, hey, I'm going to make a video. I'm a nobody, but can we see? No response. All right. So that's that one, 39.6. Not a big deal, 2% jump, but it's a big deal depending on what that 400,000 means. Now, Trump, what he has said, this is not the current law, he wants to keep the 37% tax bracket for the upper income, keep that number, the income, but he wants to reduce the 22% tax bracket to 15, and he said he'd be open if we can get support to reworking all the tax brackets. So I don't know. I don't know if that's something that happens, but that's where Trump stands. Okay, capital gains tax. That's number 2. Capital gains tax is, for most of you, currently taxed at 15%. For the higher income earners, it's taxed at 20%. And if you have over $250,000 in income or taxable capital gains, then you're also familiar with the 3.8% net investment income tax. You would know if you have to pay that. Okay, so here we go. Let's do this one here. We'll go back over here. Capital gains tax The way this works, you know, long-term capital gains is taxed at 15%, 20% if you are a higher income earner there, right? So anyways, Joe Biden's tax plan is he wants to, let's just go like this, Biden and Trump, all right? So we'll do that. We know who we're talking about here. Okay, so what Joe Biden says is, okay, that 20% long-term capital gains, we want to change that to 39.6 for the upper range, right? So he's not changing the 15%, he's changing the 20%, but only if you make over $1 million. That used to be $400,000. When he started his campaign and there were like 1 million Democratic candidates, it was $400,000. So now he's saying 39.6 instead of the 20%, but only if you make over $1 million. That's a lot, right? And at that point, you would still pay the 3.8% net investment interest tax, right? So you'd still have to pay that as well. Okay, that's kind of a lot. Trump so far is only a couple times he's mentioned this. He just wants to take the 20% and bring it down to 15 so that there's only the two long-term capital gains rates. You currently either pay 0 long-term capital gains or 15% or 20%. He just wants to bring it down to 15%. And so that's the difference between Trump and Biden there. Obviously, if you make over $1 million, that's not great. You know, that's a lot of money. Okay, so what else did I have for you? Number 3, Social Security tax. So many of the younger, maybe some of you younger people watching out there, you might not know how Social Security tax works, but you're not taxed forever on your income. So it goes up to 137,000, too many numbers. It's 137,700, right? Don't hold me to that. What happens is you split the 12.6% between you and your employer, right? So 6.3 for each of you. But the way it works is up to 137,700 or something is where the limit's at. If you make more than that, you don't pay Social Security tax anymore. So that's the way it currently stands. Joe Biden, here we go. So Joe Biden, oh, I have to erase it all. All right, so I'm not going to write Biden, Trump again, take up all your time here. What Joe Biden says is, okay, we're going to keep that the same, right? So we're going to go to 137.7. God, I hope that's the number. You guys are going to kill me, right? You'll pay the 12.6% split between you and your employer, right? But then what he says, okay, it'll stop there. There'll be a gap, right, where there's nothing paid. And then over 400, it'll kick back in again. So a little bit complicated, but not too bad. 137.7. Over that, you don't pay anything, but as soon as you make over 400K, Social Security tax would kick in again. There's no limit there. And again, not sure what the 400,000 means, Joe. We need some help on that one there. If you could help out the planners out there, we'd really like to plan. Just either way, I don't know, shoot me an email, see what you got to do there. And then Trump's plan is really not really focused on that. What Trump did, you may remember back in August 8th, I think, he said, tell you what, if you make $4,000 or less biweekly, then for the rest of the year, you don't have to pay Social Security tax on any amount. It doesn't matter. And everybody was like, okay, thank you. That's a good idea. But then what? We get a big bill in January. Trump is currently proposing the idea that we have a tax holiday for this effort. So if he keeps himself in office, then what he's saying is from September to December, all that deferred Social Security tax would just be forgiven. You wouldn't have to pay it back. So if you're paying Social Security tax right now, you're not supposed to, but if you are, then that would hopefully be forgiven under that case. Now, I've heard arguments on both sides. You're depleting Social Security and all that. I'm just reporting what's out there. All right, the last one, which I have a little bit of trouble with here, I'm going to try to go through it, and so I put some notes somewhere because this one's a little bit different. I don't like this one here on the Biden side. So that's just my opinion. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean I'm changing votes or voting for Trump or not voting at all and all that. Do what you got to do. But here's what you need to know. And he's passionate about this one. I've heard him mention this one numerous times, and Kamala Harris is on board with this. This is part of her plan initially here. But just so you can plan, again, not political. Okay, so what Biden wants to do is, excuse me, the step up in cost basis. Right now, what happens, come back over here. What happens right now is, let's say grandma passes away, grandma had a brokerage account, and she left it to you. What happens is, if grandma paid $10 for, I don't know, shares of something 30 years ago, she passes away and it's worth $200 today per share, Grandma's cost basis was 10. Right now the way it works is when she passes away, you inherit the cost basis on the date of death or within 6 months. It's called an alternate valuation date. We don't really do that much in the stock market, but your cost basis would be 200. That is huge because when Grandma passes away, you take the date of death and you go, it's as if I bought shares for 200, meaning you potentially don't owe any tax. All right, so what Biden wants to do is eliminate the step up in cost basis at death. He wants to get rid of it. Now, he has two plans here. I don't know. These are his exact plans. You can look them up. This is not my thing here. But if he wins, the first one is to pay tax when you sell the property, right? So Grandma owns the shares at $10. She passes away. They're worth 200. His first plan is to say, you actually don't have to pay any tax. We're not going to talk about it right now. But when you sell these shares or property or whatever it is, you're going to pay Grandma's cost basis. So he's not forcing you to pay tax now, but when the day comes, you're going to own the cost basis here, which could be kind of huge, right? So that's a bummer if you happen to have a lot of investments or grandma or uncles and aunts and things like that. The other part of his plan, and again, this is a little vague, the other part of his plan is to say you're going to tax all of the built-in gains at the time of death only if your income is greater than $400,000. If not, you pay Grandma's cost basis when you decide to sell the shares. You with me on that one? So that's the other part of the plan. I don't know if that's married filing jointly. I don't know if it's single. I don't know how we're calculating that number. 0 words on that. So that's a tough one. But getting rid of the step up in cost basis, I think, is a pretty poor idea. I hope that's not something that happens. If you have the mindset of an investor, then you probably agree. If you have the mindset of anything else, then you probably like, I don't know, like, does it matter or should it be a big deal? But it is. It's a big deal. That could be anything. It could be your family's business. It could be property. I mean, we're all going to die at some point. We hopefully want to leave stuff to people. So that one's tough. I hope there's some refining there should Biden win. Trump actually has no plans for that. That step up in cost basis stays as it is, right? Just as the current law is until 2025. So there's no change to that. He's made no comments on that. So anyways, there you go. Those are the 4 things to compare. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just trying to help you start to plan. If you want to strategize, top tax rate there, Biden makes an adjustment. Trump wants to make an adjustment as well. Capital gains tax, slight adjustment there for Joe Biden. Trump wants to make a change there as well. Social Security tax, a little bit extra tax for those of you should Biden win. And Trump just wants to get rid of the tax that was deferred. Step up in cost basis, you now know that one there. And hey, it's what it is. For those of you that think somehow this was political, please don't bother leaving a comment. I'm just sharing the data, that's all. If you believe in one side or the other, cheer them on. I hope your side wins. Either way, I still have to do my job, so I'm just showing you the education that we're doing here behind the scenes, and we'll see what happens. So we'll know shortly, and we'll be probably doing videos to start planning and strategizing for things like that should it come along. So thank you so much for sticking with me here today. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.